G'day everyone. I do try and talk a bit about everything and leave my bias out of it as much as I can. But today, I'm going full fanboy to talk about my one true love, the Panthers. I'm Old Panther, and this is Rugby League news by fans, for fans. So we've just lost the biggest pest in the game, who also happen to be able to play a little, having won 2 premierships, State of Origins, and Internationals as a half, which is a huge hole to fill, and for better or worse, Nathan Cleary will be running the team as the experienced half, since the other options have a grand total of less than 10 games combined playing the position at an NRL level. Now, there is going to be plenty of subjective opinion from me and my interpretation of his game and his personality on field, so feel free to share yours as well. After all, that's the whole point of why I'm here, to engage with fans. And on that note, I'd be keen to hear from non-Panthers fans, or whether they think he'll play Origin in 2020. As for club level though, it's my opinion that Cleary will be more than capable of leading the team from 2020 onwards, and I'll show that throughout the video by going over the habits and skills he's displayed going all the way back to his time in the SG Ball competition in 2014. I'll use some footage to show who Cleary is as a footballer, and the skills of a halfback that I'll cover will be the ability to run the ball, a good passing game, vision, and kicking game. The things I won't get into are his defense and goal kicking, because it's pretty much universally accepted that he's damn good at them. So let's get into it, and start with what's considered his weakest skill, which is his passing game, or his playmaking ability. And it's completely fair for fans to be concerned here, considering he's only had 9 try assists for 2019, 9 for 2018, and 10 for 2017 respectively, making him one of the lower ranking halves for setting up tries. For comparison, the top try assists for the same years range from the low to high 20s, so he isn't exactly going to be JT with amazing vision, setting up bulk try assists everywhere, but he absolutely can still bring his team into the game, working with his 5'8", second rows and centres, etc., with a variety of passing from a long cutout pass to a short cutout pass and an inside ball. He even has a little dummy for a bit of deception, and he can certainly run a set play just fine, if not maybe being a little dependent on structure, which is one of the 2 things that I personally think has let him down a bit, having his career so far being under coaches who aren't exactly known for their attacking flair. Anthony Griffin's biggest positive was having the team fit, and Ivan seems to lean to the defensive side of the game, and this has led to one of the biggest criticisms being the inability to attack in the opposition 20. To the club's credit though, they are bringing in Trent Barrett for the 2020 season to fix the attack, which should be an improvement, with Manly being a top 5 team for try assists and line break assists in 2017 under Barrett, which was the second year of his 3 years coaching Manly. Now for the record, I have cherry-picked the 2017 season because generally it takes a year or 2 for a coach to get things how they want them, and 2018 was just a complete mess for Manly, with a bunch of off-field drama, which ended in Barrett leaving the club, but I won't go into that here since I don't know what happened behind the scenes, but it really sucks to watch a club go through that, and it never ends well as far as performance on field goes. The second is the fact that the Panthers haven't had a full-time NRL dummy half since Seguiaro, who last played for the Panthers at the start of the 2016 season before Cleary made his debut. Since then, we've had Peter Wallace, who was all effort and is still a fan favourite in retirement, but was a half by trade, and then it changed between Katoa, Rain, Kenny, and Egan, with Rain never really getting a proper shot at the Panthers, and Katoa was pretty quickly phased out with Wade Egan and Mitch Kenny given their debuts in 2018 and 2019. While the club tried to fix the problem, but thankfully, that's been sorted in 2020 with Api Coruscant coming back to the club. The improved service alone should allow the halves the time and space to get the ball where it needs to be consistently, and also take the pressure off some of Cleary's other responsibilities as halfback, like his kicking game. Now on that, some people are a bit worried about our end to sets without Maloney, which is pretty fair, but I actually rate Cleary's kicking game as above average. Unlike his passing, he appears to have excellent vision, which allows him to make good decisions, and he's also able to find the ground on long and short kicks, and he's also able to pick out his backline with a well-placed chip or bomb, which, as a side note, will go really well with some taller additions to the backline, with players like Brent Naden and Stephen Crichton getting their debuts in 2019. Cleary also has a good variety of kicking options, from his well-known bomb to a lower, more direct kick that finds the grain in the corner, and a nice grubber, which he actually spent time training with Andrew Johns during the State of Origin camp.
Lateral, 2 to left post.
He also has a pretty strong kicking boot to go with all this, which makes the battle for field position that little bit easier. Though, I am genuinely surprised he hasn't had a lot more 40-20s to his name, but Maloney seemed to be the go-to for that sort of thing while he was here. But as mentioned earlier, Barrett should help refine this even further, having been a top NRL half himself, and to add to Barrett's jobs, he'll have to make sure Cleary's running game is on point. Anytime we have seen Cleary be dominating the game, It's his running game that has been the standout feature, and it's not really a surprise as he weighs in at 92 kilos but still has a bit of pace and a nice little step. For context, two guys who have a better passing game in my opinion are Mitch Moses and Luke Brooks, who are 85 kilos and 88 kilos respectively. So he is a very strong runner of the ball, able to break tackles and create opportunities for guys like Dylan Edwards, who is known as the fittest guy at the club and was leading the comp for support runs in 2018 before he did a serious shoulder injury. But the big benefit that comes from his ability and willingness to run for me is that he can hold up the defensive line from first receiver, as the A and B defenders and markers have to be on their guard, and even if it only buys a split second of hesitation, this gives his outside players the space they need to work, and for a guy like Cleary, that's going to be extra important, especially when he'll be partnered with a rookie 5'8", as they'll need all the time they can get. And speaking of having a rookie halves partner, I also think that in itself is actually going to be a benefit to him. By his own admission, he's not a big talker.
Is a voice a big thing at training and on the field?
Yeah, it is, and that's something I've been kind of fighting with as I've come into first grade, and something I've kind of worked on the most over the years.
And he has played his career mostly with dominant personalities in the team. When he started, he had a veteran in Peter Wallace, and through 2016 and 2017, Matt Moylan was the captain at times and the dominant force for playmaking at the club. And then the player swap with Moylan and Maloney happened between the Sharks and Panthers, and Nathan has probably had the most dominant personality in the entire game beside him for the last 2 years. And as a young bloke developing his game, it'd be easy to drift into the background a little from a confidence perspective. Though, it is a hell of an apprenticeship, and I'm predicting that now he is in a position where he has to be the dominant playmaker. With a few years and a couple of finals and Origin series behind him, we'll see a much more confident player ready to lead a team. Now don't get me wrong, I don't think he's the best half to ever play the game or anything like that, but I do think he's got all the skills he needs, and he definitely needs to step up to the next level from where he's at now and show what he has on a more consistent basis if he's going to run the team and be successful doing it. But if it hasn't been made apparent, I do firmly believe that Barrett can help him achieve this, and unlike being the head coach, Barrett will be focusing solely on the attack and can just work on getting the halves performing and the guys around them running the right lines and maybe a few set plays. I mean, even some Manly fans have said he was good with their attack, so there's hope. Another thing that'll be super important is who exactly does partner Cleary at 5'8". The two options are Jerome Luai and Matt Burton. Now Luai will get first shot after waiting behind Maloney for the last 2 seasons, often playing small stints at hooker off the bench, and has a history of partnering Cleary going back to those SG Ball days in 2014 and 15, where he was actually halfback and Nathan was 5'8". He's a bit more erratic at times, with a big step, quick feet, and he's a good eyes-up footballer who plays on instinct, versus Matt Burton, who seems a bit more composed, with a nice kicking game and a big left foot step, as seen in his debut match against the Sharks in round 21 this year, which was one of only 2 wins for the Panthers in the last 6 rounds. To sum it up, I believe the Panthers will have a better year in 2020 than they did in 2019, and they'll be fighting comfortably for a spot in the 8, although it won't be easy, with a lot of good rosters and great individual players to beat out there. Anyway, thanks for listening guys, and I'll catch you next time. Have a good one.